Assalamu alaikum daisies, I hope you're all doing well, inshallah. Today's video is all about dark circles. Dark circles, the bane of my life. I thought that I would make this video really to share with you guys some of the tips that I have acquired over the years in how to reduce the look of the dark circles or how to cover them up. Dark circles are basically discoloration around your eyes. Although we use the blanket term of dark circles, they can actually appear in different forms and they can look quite different. They are hugely dependent upon skin type, your ethnicity in some cases, genetics, and also your lifestyle. Sometimes dark circles can look pink or red, they can have that sort of pinkish hue, they can be a little bit browny looking, purpley blue, or in severe cases they can actually be black. Now, it's very rare that dark circles are caused by one factor only. Usually, the cause of the dark circles are diverse in varying degrees. For example, dark circles are often caused or exacerbated by a lack of sleep, allergies, so things like hay fever can actually give that pinkish, inflamed look around the eyes, illness or various health problems. A lot of women actually also develop dark circles or have them worsen during pregnancy. But one of the most common causes for dark circles is genetics. A lot of times dark circles are hereditary. And that's the million-dollar question, how to cure dark circles. There are a few things that you can do to help the look of dark circles. If one of the causes of your dark circles is sleep deprivation, of course sleep better, get at least 8 hours of sleep, early to bed, early to rise. And if that can't be helped, or if that isn't helping enough, there are a few things that you can do, such as, for example, the good old trick of taking a cucumber freshly out of the fridge, slice it into thin slices, lay down, pop it over your eyes and relax for 10 to 20 minutes. That often refreshes the area and helps the blood to circulate better around your eyes, thereby reducing the appearance of dark circles. It is said that potatoes can help. Not eating them, but peeling them, slicing them into thin slices, again laying down and laying them over your eyes. There's an enzyme in potatoes that supposedly helps the look of dark circles, although personally I don't find that it helps very much, but it might work for you. Almond oil. This is naturally high in vitamin E, which is very good for the skin area around the eyes, not only in hydrating it, because often dark circles look worse when the skin is dehydrated or it's dry around the eyes, but also vitamin E long term helps to reduce the look of dark circles somewhat, although it won't take them away completely. Now, dark circles can actually be a symptom of a deeper problem. Rather than to scare you, I would advise you to go to the doctor and have a blood test done and make sure that everything is a-okay. A lot of women tend to lack iron in their bodies, and that can then present itself as the problem of anemia to lesser or greater degrees. And so taking something like iron supplementation, which a doctor should be able to prescribe to you, can help. Although I would say, ladies, iron can constipate you. Now, if it's something like pregnancy that's caused you to develop dark circles or caused them to worsen, the best thing I can say to you is to have patience. Most of the symptoms that you get in pregnancy, they do dissipate after you have your baby. Maybe a year or 2 years after, or they may not even disappear, but it's just one of those blessings of pregnancy, and hey, you have a baby in return, so that's kind of worth it, right? Finally, if your dark circles are hereditary, unfortunately, there is nothing you can do about it. Zilch. Do not be tricked into buying any of the creams that supposedly get rid of any kind of dark circle. If they're hereditary, it's actually hyperpigmentation rather than a blood vessel problem. It could just be that you have more melanin around your eyes, and therefore there isn't really anything that you can do about it apart from covering it up with makeup. So let's talk concealing. I've decided to categorize dark circles. The first is just a shadowing around the eyes. So it's not necessarily dark circles, because some women are blessed in that they have no dark circles, but they just have a natural shadow around the eyes, which can be covered very easily. The second type is the very mild type of dark circle that I guess you could get away with not concealing, but you may want to cover it up on special occasions, or just if you enjoy wearing makeup and you want to cover them up completely. The third type of dark circle I have called the noticeable type of dark circle, which is considerably noticeable. And the fourth category is the very severe type of dark circle, which is either extremely dark brown or dark purple. So let's go through the different products that I would recommend in order to conceal your dark circle depending on its severity. if you have natural shadows around the eyes, all you really need to do is to brighten that area. So you may not necessarily need any pigment or any concealing or covering in that area. You may just need a product that will just brighten, cause the light to reflect around that area and therefore take away the appearance of the dark circle. I've picked out this Bare Minerals Well Rested pen. It's a clickety pen. You get this liquid product that comes out. It barely has any pigment to it. It's sort of a light pearly colour, but most skin tones could get away with this because it doesn't have very much pigment. There are also powders that will do the same thing if you're not too much into pens. Elf do a really nice eye brightener which is slightly yellowish in colour. So if your dark circles are pinky or reddy, or sometimes they can be browny and a bit pinky as well, and therefore a yellowish sort of brightener will take away that pinkish hue. Laura Mercier also does an eye brightener. It's called the Secret Eye Brightener. This is very, very finely milled. It's a really nice powder. However, you do need to make sure that your eye area is well moisturized. It particularly photographs really well. It reflects light and therefore highlights the eye area very effectively. There's also this product that I have. It's called Sunlight. It's by Everyday Minerals, which is a mineral makeup company. They call this their color corrector. It's a very light yellow, and I would only recommend this if you're quite fair-skinned and have a bit of shadowing around the eyes. Whereas with the other products that I recommended, most skin tones should be able to get away with it. Sometimes it really is a case of experimenting as well. So it's not possible to say if you are this skin tone, then this concealer will go on you. Even with my recommendations, don't just purchase them online or purchase them without testing them out in the shop. Try out the concealer, wear it for a couple of hours, see how it wears, see if the color changes after half an hour, which can sometimes happen. It happens in particular with foundations. Go and have a look at how it looks in sunlight, take a picture with it. Really make sure that you're spending your money wisely. Next up, mild dark circles. If you have a dark circle that is kind of noticeable, I guess if you're not into makeup you could get away with not wearing concealer, but if you enjoy brightening that area then you may want to use these kinds of products. These are clickety pen types. They're very thin liquid products. I wouldn't classify them as concealers, rather they are illuminators or highlighters. Very similar to the famous YSL Touche Cloud, which is not a concealer but it's a brightener. Some of us learned that the hard way. First up, I would recommend the MAC Prep and Prime. This is in the colour Light Boost, which is a very light yellow colour. They also do a Prep and Prime in a peach colour, so if you don't want to brighten so much but you just want to cover them up and just have a slightly illuminated effect, then check out the peach colour. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but there is a lightish peach colour, and then for the deeper skin tone they do one that's more orangey. Charlotte Tilbury also does one. It's called the Retoucher. I have the one in medium. This is a peachy kind of colour. It won't brighten the area very much. It does well to hide that dark circle if you're having either a very casual makeup day where you don't want to put on very heavy concealer, or if your dark circle is extremely mild. Bourjois also does an illuminating, it says brush concealer, but it really is not a concealer. I can't remember what shade I bought this in. I guess you could go and just test them out. This is a very peachy toned illuminator, so this also works well to hide the dark circles if they're not too bad, or if you want to just top up concealer that you have on already. And you can do that with any of these. I've demoed using the MAC Prep and Prime. For example, if you don't have a dark circle there, let's pretend I don't have dark circles in an alternative universe. I just have a little bit of shadowing there that I want to brighten up, or if you've already concealed and you want that extra brightening effect, you can also use this. What you do is you turn the pen from the bottom, it clicks, the product is dispensed, and then I concentrate the product in the inner corner of the eye, just under the eye in the inner corner. And whatever's left over on the brush, without taking any more product out, I sort of spread it out across. I then blend out the highlighter with a sponge, and again I start where I've placed the product. That way what you're doing is you're using the concealer or the highlighter in the area that requires it. There's no point using it anywhere where you don't need it. So you use it there the most, and then you use the rest of the product that's left on the sponge everywhere else under the eye, just to make sure that it's all blended really well and that the areas that are not as dark aren't receiving as much of the product. And that's it. Our next category are noticeable dark circles. So we're going to use concealer products as opposed to highlighting products. Of course, if you need extra coverage or extra highlighting, you can go and buy one of these highlighting products or these illuminating products and go over the concealer. There are so many liquid concealers on the market, ranging from really cheap to really expensive. I find that liquid concealers, if you find the right one, work really well in concealing, I guess, a moderate dark circle. And if you have a severe dark circle, sometimes layering twice as long as the concealer doesn't crease and cake up, does help as well. My favourite of the liquid concealers is the Collection 2000 concealer. I use the shade Medium number 3. This, for £4, is a steal. It works, it really does conceal. It actually is opaque enough to cover quite a dark circle. Another really good concealer is the one by CanMake. Now I ordered this from a Japanese website called adambeauty.com. With this concealer, it has a good opacity as well. The only thing that I find with this one, and I think also the Collection 2001, although this one holds up a little bit better, the only thing with this one is I find that it doesn't last as long, and the coverage is, I find, slightly less than the Collection 2001, but this is a really good concealer nonetheless. The final concealer that I'm going to recommend to you is the Maybelline Fit Me concealer, and I have the shade number 25. This is quite a peachy concealer, so it won't highlight by any means. However, it will sort of take away some of that darkness if you then want to go over this with a lighter coloured concealer to brighten that area. I did the demo with the Collection 2000 concealer. With this one, again, I concentrate the product in the area that requires the highest amount of coverage. And then, here's a tip for you. If you want a concealer to be slightly thicker and therefore more opaque in its coverage, leave it for, I would say, about a minute. I just start fanning it in my demo because I want to do it a bit quicker. What it does is it becomes a little bit thicker. You can definitely still spread it, however, it will just give you that tad bit extra coverage. So I applied that, left it for a few seconds, fanned it out. I spread it out using the Smashbox foundation brush, which I love. This is actually the travel foundation brush, hence its small size. Again, I start in the area where I've applied the concealer and then start to fan it outwards around the under eye area and then slightly under the dark circle as well, just so it's well blended. I spent quite a bit of time making sure that the concealer is blended really well into the rest of the foundation, just to make sure that it looks a little bit more natural and not as harsh, although I have been guilty of putting on really harsh concealer. It's a guilty pleasure. So the final category is the severe dark circle. We've all been there. There are days where they are particularly pesky and difficult to cover up with a normal concealer, so we need the heavy duty stuff. I would recommend cream concealers. This is the Makeup Forever full cover concealer. I would recommend going easy on this around the eyes because otherwise it will sort of start to crease and cake up. Moving on to the cream concealers, I'm going to start off by showing you guys some correctors. You have concealers that are supposed to cover up the dark circle. However, if your dark circles are really bad, then a concealer sometimes doesn't do the job. In fact, sometimes a concealer will make them look worse. It will make them go sort of greyish. What you want to do firstly is to cancel out that extreme darkness or to neutralize it, and then you want to brighten it up. The corrector doesn't necessarily have to match your skin tone. The aim of the corrector is literally just to neutralize the dark circle. For example, you may need a very orange corrector if your dark circle is very, very dark brown or dark purple or even black, and it will look obviously very orange on the skin regardless of what your skin tone is. And then on top of that, you apply your concealer to even out that area. The most commonly used corrector colour is peach, and that's for moderate dark circles. The darker the circle, the deeper the peach tone gets until you get to something like orange, and MAC does an orange colour corrector or something. Some of the popular correctors on the market are, for example, the Eve Pearl Salmon Concealer, and this is a very peachy toned concealer. Another very popular corrector is the Bobbi Brown Peach Colour Corrector. Another good corrector, which is actually a concealer, but if you get the deeper shades it acts as a corrector, is the Laura Mercier Secret Concealer. This is in number 3 and it's very, very peachy toned. When I put this on, I do have to put another concealer over the top. Number 2 actually is a really good concealer. I used to have it, I then ran out, didn't repurchase. I demoed using the Bobbi Brown Peach corrector. I applied it using the concealer brush by Smashbox. Now, if your dark circles are bad, but not the worst that they can be, then a simple cream concealer will do the job. It's still very heavy duty, but it will definitely cover up most dark circles. So the ones that I would recommend are firstly the one by Bobbi Brown. Now this one is, I believe, the creamy concealer, and it is very creamy, so it does need to be set with a powder, and it is likely to crease and settle in fine lines over the course of the day, which most cream concealers will do. I have this one in Sand, which is very brightening around the eye for me. Another popular concealer is the MAC Studio Finish Concealer, which I have in NW20. This one again does settle into the fine lines, so you do have to apply powder and then make sure through the day that you're kind of spreading it out. Another really good concealer, this is the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer. The one in SX06 is very, very yellow toned, and it works really nicely as a highlighter around the eyes. I also really like the NARS NARS Radiant Cream Compact Foundation. This is in Valoris Medium 1.5. It's lighter than my skin tone, so it works really nicely in highlighting. Okay ladies, after you've concealed, the final imperative step is that you set your concealer. If you don't set it, it will rub off, it will disappear through the day, it will migrate around your face, no, just in that area. You can use either a translucent powder to just hold the concealer in place, or you can use a powder that has some colour to it, which will not only hold the concealer in place, set it, but also it will enable you to get a little bit of extra coverage. The first one that I recommend is the one by Chanel. This is their translucent powder, although I know that they also offer this in coloured versions. I actually did the demo with this one and applied it using my Smashbox. I think this is the Smashbox blending brush. Literally dip your brush in, tap off the excess and then pat. Other powders I recommend are the Bare Minerals. This is actually their foundation. I'm not too keen on their concealers, unfortunately, but I really like their foundation for setting concealers. You must make sure that your eye area is very well moisturized if you use Bare Mineral foundations, or even if you use this as a concealer, because otherwise it will dry up. This is in the shade Light. Another powder that I recommend is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural. It works so well to set the concealer without caking. In fact, you can build on this and it won't cake or crease. I use this either in medium if I want to match the rest of my skin, or I've ordered now the Light because Paula, PD makeup artist, used Light on me and that I found highlighted the area really well. I really hope this video was of use to some of you out there. If you found it useful, please give the video a thumbs up. If you have any other requests for videos that you would like for me to do, then leave them in the description, not description, in the comments under this video. In my description, however, I will link my social media, my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter. So if you would like to follow me on social media, then you may do so there. Toodles!